Hello, everyone. Welcome to your weekly coaching video with Shaun and myself. How are you all? Remember, if not you, Shaun, remember if you're here live, you can leave us a comment. I can pull it up on the screen like this. And if any of you do fancy coming into the studio with us, you can do. So you can just comment and say, yeah, I want to come in and chat with you guys. I'll get some coaching and we'll have you in. Shaun, we're in another national lockdown, my friend. As a parent, how has it hit you?
Well, Avery's gone to nursery today, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been. So he finished nursery December 24th, and for 10 days before that, he was actually not allowed to go because he was someone in his nursery had tested positive. So he's been at home now for like a month already, and when we and then when the lockdown happened, we were just like, please, God. I know it's so selfish. We were like, please, don't shut the nurseries. Just don't shut the nurseries. And they didn't. So, but I think we're in quite a good position. Like we have Avery at home 4 days a week, and then 3 days is at nursery. So yeah, it affects us still in terms of on a Monday and Tuesday, I pick up the slack with Avery because Sush's job is very demanding. So it affects me in that I can't get stuff done that I want to get done unless I put him on an iPad, which I don't like to do, but I'm being completely non-judgmental with myself at the moment in terms of putting him on like screen time.
Yeah.
Because he's bored as well, because we can't do all the things that we normally do, like outdoor activities, football, tumble touches, like a gymnastics thing. We can't do that stuff because we're not allowed. So he's bored as well. So that's one thing I will say. If you have kids at home and you're letting them have lots of screen time at the moment, it's all good. Like, don't beat yourself up. Don't judge yourself. Don't let other people judge you as well. Because I know sometimes that can be like a thing. Like I try not to look at my social media too much, especially parents that are like, oh, I'm baking with my kids and I'm doing all these things. And, it's like, all right, well done. We're just here trying to survive, but thanks. So yeah, just be completely non-judgmental with yourself if you've got kids at home right now.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice for like all the parents here, because as you said, they might feel guilty for using screens or something to give their kids some stimulation and to give them like some time to focus on other things, maybe health and fitness related, or maybe even just just to get some work done. Stephanie says, saw this morning, very apt, so really great piece of advice you gave there, Shaun, was if people are making you feel guilty, maybe block them, unfollow them, mute them. Remember as well that social media is just a highlight reel. This person could be baking with their kid for just 5 minutes and they've just decided to share it on social media that day. The rest of the time they could be on their iPad and not connecting with their kid at all, right? And I think all around a good idea for social media in this time is if people are pissing you off or making you feel guilty or making you feel less than worthy, then mute them or unfollow them, because you don't need that in your life. And we are our own worst critic. And through lockdown, that critic, that voice is going to be quite hard to silence, but we do need to show some self-compassion and some kindness to ourselves in this time.
Yes, definitely. And if you want to see more on that, look at my post on Instagram.
Yeah, well, we can talk more about it now. Your post on Instagram was very apt. This idea of self-compassion isn't about being, it's not about letting yourself off the hook or letting yourself get away with anything, but it is recognizing that you're human, you're going to make mistakes, things are going to be tough sometimes, you're not always going to be motivated, you're not always going to do, you're not going to live up to perfection, are you? So it's knowing that and not feeling guilty for it.
Yeah, especially in this time, I think, especially in this situation. I hate the word because Boris Johnson or Borat Johnson, as I started calling him, always says that unprecedented. But we are literally, it's like an unprecedented situation, right? Where we're being forced to stay at home, like I know there's way worse things in the world, but what I mean is your dynamic has now changed, your environment has changed, your cues have changed,
Yeah.
your stress levels have changed, like your sleep levels might have changed. You're doing so you're reacting emotionally to things. There's so many factors at the moment that could make you feel like you're not succeeding, or make you feel like that you are failing and you're struggling emotionally, and that's okay. Basically, is the gist of it. It's like you don't have to beat yourself up because you're feeling all those things or you're struggling with anything.
Hmm.
Like, come at yourself from more of a, rather than a schoolyard bully type thing of like, oh, come on, man up, like pick yourself up, get on with it. Like, you can actually, it's actually, you'll be a better human, especially to yourself, if you actually have some compassion for yourself and say,
Hmm.
okay, I'm feeling this at the moment. This is what's making me think. I'm gonna sit in this for a little while and just like let myself feel it, and then I'm
Hmm.
gonna try something to get myself out of that. And that's gonna 99% of the time be more successful than going, oh come on, man up.
Yeah.
Especially for men in this group, by the way.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it
Yeah,
applies for both. Like, I know that women can often take on more responsibility. Like, men can do like the whole like man of the house and like man of the family, but then women have that like, they need to be a caregiver and look after like either the man or just the children or whatever. Like, especially in family units, can often put everyone else first and then feel
yeah,
guilty for putting themselves first, right? And that self compassion and that putting yourself first is so key there, because if you've got family and stuff to look after now and you've got kids at home, you're going to need to put your health and fitness first to be able to be a better parent. But then it just might look different to what someone else does, right? So it doesn't need to be an hour workout. It doesn't need to be perfect food all the time, but it can be a short bit of exercise here and there, or just trying to slightly, eat slightly more vegetables than the day before or something, So you're not putting perfection on the pedestal. You're just thinking, right, okay, where am I? And how can I be a little bit better, but give myself some slack? Because right now it's a stressful time and
yeah,
we're not in a normal situation. We're not, life isn't
yeah,
normal. So why should we try to react as if it is?
yeah,
Stephanie, it's the perfect way to uncover how much I eat when I'm bored / fed up / lonely. Exactly right. So these emotions are going to be key for so many people right now. You're going to have
mm,
higher stress, higher levels of boredom, because hobbies, activities, social occasions, all of those things aren't available to you in the purest normal form. Loneliness there as well if you're not able to see friends, family, and all of these things are ways that people, are things that cue overeating, snacking, and over drinking.
yeah. But like Stephanie said there, like she's uncovered now that her eating habits and reactions, to those kind of emotions that
Mm.
she's uncovering, and that's a good thing. That's a positive thing, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
not something to think, oh, so I just eat when I'm sad and all that kind of stuff. Like you can think of it that way, or you can think, oh, so I eat when I'm sad.
Mhm.
Like, that's a good realization to come to, and then you can start to affect change in your behaviors and your mindset. So that's a good thing that you've discovered that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Stephanie, good that, because what I wanted to talk about after self-compassion was this idea of the mindfulness quad of improving your health and fitness alongside self-compassion. And the first stage of that is being aware, right? Being aware of what actually is going on. And Shaun and I, with our one-to-one clients, to try to improve their internal dialogue. And one of the best ways is to practice mindfulness, and is being in that state of, okay, I need to be hyper aware of being present in the moment and knowing what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling that way, and what that's causing me to do. Because life is so busy, a lot of us just act on autopilot. So the more that we can actually be present and know how we're feeling, the better we're going to be able to take the right action.
Yeah, yeah. Are we going to
And
discuss
so,
how to do that?
yeah, so one thing that we like to do is the mind body scan, which is an act of mindfulness which doesn't have to be long. Could be 5 minutes, could be 2 minutes. In the way of building habits up, we want to keep things short, sharp, simple, doable. So if you can spare 2 minutes to do it, perfect. And all you need to do is sit down, close your eyes, and do a quick scan from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes, and just think, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? How am I right now? And without judgment, just be as connected to yourself as possible.
Yeah, yeah, and it takes a bit of getting used to if you're not used to doing this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You might feel like, well, I'm just going to sit there for 5 minutes. That's weird, not do anything. But it's something to really kind of just think about. And like you say, you can you can do it for a minute even. Just set a timer up for a minute. And when you say, like, we've explained what to do, but like the things you're looking out for are tension. Like, do you feel any tension in your head, in your neck, in your shoulders? Like, when you're sitting, are you sitting like this, for example? And do you feel any like tightness in your muscles, or like what's the word? Tone, like hypertone in the muscles. There's all these kind of things that you can look out for. Is your belly rumbling? Are you hungry? Like, then just like don't overthink it, but just listen to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And try and put that into words in your head.
Yep.
Because just being aware of it is the start of everything, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you suddenly find that you're hungry, like you feel, oh, I'm actually hungry right now, then you're going to eat. That's a normal response to hunger.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're focused on like, oh, I'm intermittent fasting, so I'm going to eat till 1, even though I'm hungry, you're going against the grain of your body, and you don't necessarily need to do that, especially in
Yeah.
these times.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and so then we get into that noticing and naming of, well, okay, this is the way I'm feeling. This is how my body's feeling. And you're noticing the thoughts go by. You're not like holding on to one of them any length of time, but you're just noticing them go by like clouds in the sky, and you're naming them for what they are, right? And so when you feel stressed or feel anxious or feel lonely or bored, you can notice that and name that. So you're like, right, okay, well, I'm craving food because I'm feeling this way. That gives you the power then to think, well, I'll do something else, right? You don't need to, as Shaun said, if you notice that you're hungry and you feel hungry and you want to eat a meal, then you can eat a meal. But if you're bored and then you get a pang of hunger and you're like, actually, it's just because I'm bored, you then have the power to change your behavior because you've placed yourself in the awareness of like, right, okay, well, this is how I feel. So I don't need to snack on biscuits because that's not actually going to make me feel any better. So that noticing and naming gives you a clear view then on what to actually do. Now, as Shaun said, if you notice and name that you are actually hungry, it's making a choice, right? When you're trying to lose a little bit of body fat, for example, sitting with a bit of hunger here and there is okay, right? Hunger isn't an emergency. And you probably want to wait until you're maybe like, if you gauged hunger on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10 hungry before you decide to eat a meal. And then from there, what we would recommend is being as present and mindful with the meal as you can be, right? And what we love to do is get our clients to take as much time to eat the meal as they can, right, Shaun?
Yeah, eat slowly. Eat slowly is like a game changer, guys. Honestly, we've been practicing it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really is a game changer. Like if you eat your meal slowly, it has a lot of great benefits. Including you might not eat the whole meal because you'll listen to your fullness cues more. You'll actually enjoy the food. You might be able to smell it and taste it. And if you eat it without distraction as well as eating slowly, it's like it's a game changer. You've got to try it. Like put your fork down in between bites, all those kind of things that we've talked about before. That's how to eat slowly. Just provides like a lot of great benefits.
Yeah. Well, the body and mind are so connected, but there's a delay with the body to the brain. And so there is a delay in the hormones that produce the feelings of fullness and their signal to get to the brain. And actually part of those hormones are signaled by the chewing of the jaw, as well as the smell that's created at the back of the
Smell.
throat. And so not just the smell of the food at the front, but also the smell at the back of the throat created by more chewing. So the more that you chew your food, the better you'll digest your food, for one. So the better actually you'll absorb the nutrients in them, the less indigestion you'll get from the food. But also the slower you eat your food, the quicker you'll realize that you're starting to feel satisfied. And one of the simplest ways to eat less food is to be as mindful as you can with your main meals. Because if you're, again, looking for fat loss, you're maybe in a position where you're overeating slightly at main meals. Maybe there's snacking mindlessly and things as well. So mindfulness comes into your snacks too. But with main meals, if you can stop a little bit before being 100% full, and like 80% full is the term, you'll find yourself actually eating, leaving food at your main meals, and potentially even then eating fewer snacks, because you're focusing on that 80% fullness factor and whether you really need that snack or not.
Yeah, yeah. So like like I said, eating 80% full, you end most of the time. I do anyway, because I have quite big meals. It's just how I've always like done things. And I know I can finish a meal. Like even if I'm not, because I'm giving myself time. If I'm eating fast, I know that I'll just wolf that meal down, and I won't think anything of it, because I'm not mindful, I'm not present in that meal. But if I eat it slowly and then I leave some on the plate, I know that I'm full, and I think to myself, well, did I even need all of that food on the plate then? Like could I actually now think about maybe having smaller portions and being satisfied with that? And it's a great way to, like you said, it's a great way to not overeat, because we don't generally think about overeating at our main meals. When we
No.
think about losing weight, we think about cutting out things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like snacking, like overeating, like with snacks, and cutting out bread and sugar and all that kind of thing. We never really think about our main meals.
No.
Don't you think that's an observation? Like, whereas if you decided to say you decided to eat three meals a day, that was your kind of habit that you're working on. If you leave like a small portion of that meal for each meal, you could be saving yourself a lot of calories without tracking anything.
Absolutely.
And then you will elicit weight loss without even thinking about it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, they sound like they're too simple, right? But if you haven't tried eating slowly and trying this stopping at 80% full, we would massively recommend you try it, because it sounds simple, but it's not easy at all. And actually, the simplest ways are often the best. And the beauty of this methodology is that it's an approach-based goal, right? We're looking at actionable things that we can do with food, right? We're trying to eat slower. We're trying to finish a bit sooner. We're using an approach goal rather than, I have to cut out this, or I have to cut out that, or I have to follow this many calories a day, or I have to, stop snacking completely. No, we're saying you have the unconditional permission to eat the food that you want. It's one, taking a mind body scan to know whether you're truly hungry or whether something else is going on. Two, it's noticing and naming the thoughts that you have. So, okay, yeah, I am hungry, or no, okay, it's because I'm bored or stressed or lonely, and then choosing an appropriate action. Then if you decide to eat it slowly, mindfully, be as present as you can, try to limit distractions, knife and fork down in between each bite, chew your food 15 to 30 times per mouthful, take a drink of water in between bites, constantly ask yourself, am I at that 80% full? And if your aim is weight loss, aim for that 80% full, right? If your aim is health, sure, go for that 100% fullness factor. You're not looking to limit your food intake. But weight loss, aim for that 80%. And those are your 4 steps. Mind body scan, notice and name, eat slowly, stop at 80% full. Anything to add to that, Shaun?
No, you're very good at summarizing things.
It's a lesson from
I like waffle a lot and like babble and like yeah.
summarizations. A lesson from a podcast is that, like, listening and then reflecting it in a shorter summary to then kind of move through to the next point. But I hope you've enjoyed that session, guys. We're in lockdown 3.0. We've done this before. be kind to yourselves. Know that you are going to be a bit more stressed and that there's going to be a bit more going on. Your workouts maybe aren't going to be as intense or, like the gym. So, get your walking in outside, especially when it's a clear day like today. Do some form of activity or exercise on a daily basis, even if it's just 5 minutes, right? Something is always better than nothing. And if you search the group home workout, then you'll see the home workout spreadsheet that I've posted in the group before. And that's a really simple template where you can give yourself a few sessions a week with just your body weight or a small amount of equipment if you have it. So it's got drop down boxes for changes of equipment. So hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you for being here. Stephanie, you have a wonderful day as well. Thank you for joining us live. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.